Today I'm gonna go through some scary stories with y'all, and this one's a good one. We're gonna go through about 5 of them. Let's get into it. I, female, 28, have lived in the same apartment for 4 years. My neighbors in the unit above me are a couple in their late 30s who have lived there for about 3 years with no issues between us. During the past 6 months, I've noticed some changes in their behavior. At first, it was just a few days per week. I'd hear music with heavy bass accompanied by rhythmic jumping. I assume they bought an exercise bike or something. But sometimes the jumping gets so intense that it shakes my overhead light fixtures. The jumping routine has escalated to the point where it takes place every day, normally between 8 and 10 a.m. I also noticed that they called 1-800-JUNK and got rid of a lot of nice possessions. However, I figured none of this was my business, so I kept it to myself. About 3 weeks ago, everything escalated. Multiple times per week, on weekdays and during work hours, it sounded like they're hosting a mini Burning Man event in my apartment. The music is so loud and clear that it sounds as if I'm at a concert while sitting in my own living room. There's clearly a lot of people involved because the jumping, stomping, shakes multiple light fixtures and cabinets. The music is a mix of new age and spiritual vibes, dancing beats, and male voiceovers giving weird-ass instructions like rebrand yourself, surrender yourself, and then repeated stomping in response. I've taken audio recordings on my phone and one video of the hallway during these events. I still didn't complain to the building, but I wanted evidence in case it became a regular thing. This week I've encountered a big problem. The couple above me has a private patio which is directly above my bedroom. And I came home from a 3-day trip out of town yesterday and my ceiling is legitimately collapsing in one corner. Big chunks of plaster have fallen onto the ground and I saw a little bit of water. I immediately called my superintendent since I don't want to be fucking buried alive by this ceiling rubble if it gives out. When he came in to check out, he was shocked and pissed. He said that the woman in the couple appears to be working with some people, doing workshops or something. He can see their patio from his apartment window and watch the group do these dancing, jumping, and dirt rituals out there on a weekly basis. He said they all dance and jump to music and then spread around dirt, along with something else. He doesn't know what it is, but across the patio, it happens every day. He believes the dirt and unknown substance combo is getting through the wooden cracks, absorbing water and weighing down my ceiling. In order to fix the problem, my super said that he had to go talk to the woman, check out their patio, and ultimately hire a contractor to pull up the wood to scrape out whatever the fuck is causing my ceiling to fall. I could hear them talking from my room. The woman sounded distraught and defensive. When my superintendent left, he called me and warned me that she might come down to check out my apartment and demand to see the damages, but don't let her. This was a little concerning to me. Is she a threat? The damage is real. I wouldn't mind showing her. She started playing her music again relatively loud, kind of like a warning shot. I mentioned the music and jumping to the super, and I said I had audio recordings. He started begging me to send the evidence to the front office. It sounds like he wants to get them evicted. I said, okay, sure. I had to be a rat, but if I had to choose sides, I'll side with the building that dictates my annual rent price. He called me twice more that afternoon to confirm that I shared my evidence, and I said yes. Shortly after everything went down, I left my apartment to run an errand. The woman outside, just standing on the sidewalk, stared at me the whole time as I walked by. I ignored her. This isn't my fault. Now today I went to run another quick errand in the neighborhood. When I returned, the couple was again standing on the sidewalk, both of them this time, followed me into the building, and then waited until I was opening my apartment door to confront me. They were both wearing creepy fake smiles. The woman has horse girl hair down to her waist and started interrogating me. They asked, is your ceiling really collapsing? When did it start? Do you think it was related to the recent rainfall? Because our patio is just fine. I was a little uncomfortable. They were waiting for me outside. How did they know I even left my building? Why are they both standing there? I've literally never seen them enter together in their 3 years of living here. But I have nothing to hide, so I confirmed that the damage is pretty bad. I just don't want it to fall during winter. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but hopefully the work will be done quickly for everyone's sake. They seemed satisfied enough, so I said, have a good day, and shut my door. I'm getting the sense that they're nervous about what the contractors will find, and when they tear open their patio, what the fuck this dirt ritual has to do with it. Who are these people she's working with? I don't know what they look like or why they're available to stomp around on weekdays. The repair has started on both sides, but the contractors will come on Wednesday for a grand reveal of what's under the patio to make my ceiling collapse. In the meantime, I feel like I need to be alert and keep my eyes open for these people, as well as the couple. It's unusual for me to see them in general, especially twice in 2 days. They seem scared and in denial of the problem. They also literally ambushed me. Hopefully it's over soon. I would totally be able to rationalize maybe some jumping every now and then, but when it comes to every day, especially at these given times where it's like 8 to 10 a.m., they're able to document it happening every single day at these times. It gets really creepy thinking that maybe they have a schedule where people come in and they do these cult activities above this woman's apartment. It's really creepy to think about that. They come in and they dance to this rhythmic, strange music, and I have a video here that I'm going to show you about it. It's going to be the a video that they recorded of this whole thing happening in real time. It's really strange. It comes to my attention that how does this happen every night? I would understand it, okay, happening every couple weeks, but I would have brought it in way early. I can't believe this person brought it in so late where it's like, oh, we'll see. And then they only did it when their roof started breaking in. It's absolutely crazy to me. All right, let's move on to the next one. Encounter with an infamous serial killer. In the late 70s, my uncle was studying medicine at the University of Chicago. After a morning class, he decided that he would hitchhike back home to Lincoln Park on the north side instead of paying for a taxi. A man drove up in a Plymouth Satellite and offered my uncle a ride. The man looked normal and seemed friendly, lighthearted even, so my uncle got in the car, and they started driving towards Lakeshore Drive. However, once they got there, the man drove south on Lakeshore instead of north, towards Lincoln Park. My uncle told the man that he was going the wrong way, and to turn around and head north. The man looked at my uncle, put his hand on his knee and said, "No, son, you're coming with me," and smiled darkly at him. My uncle froze in a panic, and when they hit traffic near South Shore, he quickly unlocked the passenger door and ran without looking back. A year or two later, on a cold December day, my uncle was having coffee in a cafe with my future aunt. He saw the man that had picked him up from school that day, a year before. He had been arrested for the suspected rape and killing of over 20 young men and boys. The man on the television was John Wayne Gacy, and he had removed the door handle off the passenger side door to prevent the men that he picked up from escaping. The Bag Lady. I have always had an innate fear of the night, not so much the dark, but the night itself. As a child, my imagination was overcome with stories of creatures that would come alive at night, and the safety offered by my house and light. I have never had anything to base this fear off of, until a night when I decided to go home with a buddy of mine to a baseball game and got stuck at a light at 2 a.m. after dropping him off at home. Of course, that night the game went into extra innings, and so I didn't have a chance to drop off my friend back home until well after 1 a.m. Everything was fine on the way home until I hit a light right before the street that led to my house. It was a T-junction and I was turning left. The light is one of those that you think it's broken until it finally turns green right when you decide to just run it. Of course, I pulled up right when the light turned red. I would have to just run the light, seeing as no one was there and it was close to 2 a.m. on a school night. But earlier that week, I had heard the phrase, Character is what you do when no one is looking. And for some reason, that was the night I decided to prove to myself that I was a man of character. Big mistake. I pulled to a stop at the light, feeling good about myself, bordering on self-righteous. When I happened to look out my window to my left, I noticed a lady standing all alone on a bus bench. We made brief eye contact, so I quickly looked away. It was too late. I could see movement out of my peripheral vision and knew that she was coming my way. I looked out the window and noticed that she was carrying a bag. I quickly checked my doors were locked and all my windows were up. I was hoping it would be just an awkward exchange and was praying for a quick light change before she reached me, so I could just get out of there. I knew there was a slim chance of that. She walked right up to my window, put down her bag and began to tap on my window. I nervously got up and looked at her, and she motioned for me to put down my window. I had automatic windows, so I just imagined pushing too hard on the window button, that thing would just come all the way down. So I took a deep breath and lightly flicked it with my finger. The window moved microscopically down, but she did not seem to notice or care. She then leaned in and began to talk. She said, "My boyfriend beat me up. I have a friend who lives down the street. Can you give me a ride?" I should stop and give a brief physical description of the bag lady. She was small and skinny and of indeterminate age. She was either in her mid-20s and lived a hard 20 plus years on the street, or she was like fucking 60 or something, but lived a moderately hard life on the street. All I had to say, just by looking at her, that there was no way of verifying her story. She looked beat up by life, not just by a boyfriend, but there was something else about her delivery. It was robotic and seemed practiced and like she was disconnected from the moment. That made my skin crawl, and after a brief about a second debate on whether I should do it, I told her that I had to get home and could not give her a ride. After my refusal, she leaned in closer and said the same thing. "My boyfriend beat me up and I have to go to a friend who lives down the street. Can you give me a ride?" This time I felt more confident when I declined to give her a ride and told her I had a curfew and had to get back home. She leaned in a third time and began her statement again. "My boyfriend beat me." At this point, the light changed. I slowly shifted my foot off the brake and started rolling forward and began muttering an apology. She didn't move. She just looked at the light and turned down at me, leaned in closer and said 5 words that haunt me ever since. "You made the right decision." Then she picked up her bag and walked towards the bench. I peeled out of the intersection and cried and screamed all the way home. I had no idea what she planned to do, or if there were other people waiting to jump in my car from the bushes, had I moved to let her in. But that encounter has haunted me ever since and has confirmed in my mind that nothing good happens after dark.